What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Spectators. It is episode 167, and it is December 19th. We are a week away from Christmas. It is coming up next Sunday. So next time you see us, it'll be the day after. We'll have even more Christmas cheer, and we'll try and get some Christmas stories in for you guys next week. But we'll be a little festive today. We got snow falling here in Florida in front of us. It's crazy. You'd never believe
wild.
how technology is. It's crazy, dude. But my name is Julian. I'm here in Brooklyn, as always. What's going on, brother? Welcome back.
Merry early Christmas to everybody. It's good to be back.
What's first day of Hanukkah, too, by the way. First day of Hanukkah.
Happy
Last
Hanukkah.
Night was the first night, so shout out.
Happy Hanukkah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm super excited for this episode. I haven't been like really excited for an episode in a while, but like we got some wild stuff to talk about. And
it is absolutely true. And where else would we start besides one of the best World Cups there's ever been, and potentially, and as far as I've been alive and know, this was the best singular game of a sport I have ever seen, ever. I mean, the stakes, the drama, the clutchness, the not so clutchness,
the
legacies, and I saw something interesting on Twitter, and it was pretty accurate. Has there ever been a time where there are two of the best currently in the world playing against each other, playing their very best ball at the same time against each other like this? And I can't really think of one. I mean, you think of some great like Super Bowl matchups, but one of those quarterbacks, like we had Brady Mahomes a couple years ago. Mahomes wasn't Mahomes was great in that Super Bowl, but the team wasn't great in that Super Bowl. And so you've had plenty of the matchups in the past, but never quite to this extent, where you have Messi, who's the greatest of all time, the greatest soccer player to ever touch a soccer ball, and it's not particularly close at this point, especially after this. And then you have Kylian Mbappe, who I don't think is particularly close, that he's just the best player in the world at this current moment. So it was one of those crazy, you had to be there kind of a thing. Congratulations to Argentina, by the way. They lost their first game of this cup to Saudi Arabia. and then went on to win the whole thing. Who would have thunk it?
Man. And like you said, this is just one of the greatest we've ever seen, bro. Like, if you have not watched soccer and you saw this game,
you're hooked. You're hooked.
I'm hooked. It's me. Like, I don't really be watching soccer, but I've watched a lot of the World Cup. And I mean, this World Cup, I have loved. Like, everything that has been involved with this, even with the draws, the PKs, the upsets, just everything. It has been so dope. And I've learned a lot of new players from it. I was playing FIFA last night at my boy's house. I saw players. I was like, hey,
this guy.
You've been balling.
I know you.
So that's been sick. So for like a soccer fandom point, this World Cup has been amazing. And this game, I pulled up to work yesterday, 10 a.m. Game for this, and the whole entire staff was just sitting there watching the game during the meetings and stuff. The world stops for this.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, especially when you got two of the best.
Yeah.
And what's funny, it's 2-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 80 minutes left. I'm like
80 minutes in.
Yeah, my bad. I'm like, they probably got about 15 minutes left, including extra time. They just got to hold for 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes. They just got to hold. And then 2 minutes later, Mbappe with the PK. And then 90 seconds, he gets another goal. 2 goals in 90 seconds for Mbappe.
Yeah, and the 90 seconds was wild too, because for the most part in this game, they kind of erased him from it. They did a good job of surrounding him and making him pass out of situations and not being able to create like he does. And when you're a guy who is a shooter, right? And as we refer in basketball, like shooters shoot, don't let the hand get hot. And you give up a PK, and you let Kylian stand there, face down the keeper and take his best shot, puts it in the back of the net. Then he has a chance to go and tie it, which he does off an amazing volley, by the way. That volley gets lost because of all like the drama that came even after it. 90 seconds later, ties it up. They go to extra time. Then extra time, it's 2-2, and we're like, oh, it's just gonna go to penalties. Was it like 11 minutes left in the second extra time? Messi puts one in off a deflection. We weren't sure if there was an offsides. They went to VAR for the offsides. His butt, the defender's butt was just too big. and so the VAR did not call offsides because he was just pulling too much of a wagon. And that's just tough. That's tough. Messi gets the goal on that. And Messi gets 2 goals in this game as well. I mean, he gets that one in the 108th minute, and then he got a penalty early on in the game. Argentina got a lot of penalties in this tournament, and I think that's kind of what came down to them winning it at the end of the day. They shot a lot of penalties. I don't know the number, but I'm sure I could probably figure that out. It felt like they were kicking a penalty in every regulation, and then they had a penalty shootout in their World Cup run in knockout rounds as well. So this was their second one in the knockouts. Just something about getting into penalties and like having done it a couple times is kind of nice. France hadn't been in the penalty shootout in the World Cup, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, since they played Italy in 2008. It's been like a while. It's been like a long time. They don't go to penalties. And, this shootout kind of showed that. They didn't look super poised or anything of the sort. Besides Kylian Mbappe. And if there's 2 things that we learned from this World Cup, it is that A, Messi has been for a long time the GOAT, and that Mbappe is a one-man wrecking crew. That even without their second best player in Karim Benzema and their third best player in N'Golo Kante, France still almost cruised to a final and had enough fight to make this a 3-3 game and go to penalties. And there's not enough like impressive things you can say about Mbappe, but I do have a way that I can quantify how impressive Lionel Messi is. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm strapped in.
Are you ready for this? All right.
I'm strapped in.
These are the records that Lionel Messi holds as of yesterday. And we'll start with, where are we starting with? We're going to go with Champions League. He has the most Champions League goals in the group stage. In the group stage. He has 80. He has the most Champions League goals in the round of 16 with 29. He has the most Champions League goals for one club with 120 with Barcelona. And he has the most consecutive seasons scoring in a Champions League with 18. All right. La Liga records. Most La Liga goals, 474. Most goals in a single season, 50. Most hat tricks, 36. And most titles by a foreign non-Spanish player, 10. Individuals. He has the most Ballon d'Or ever with 7. And he has the most golden shoes with 6. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane. He has the most Argentinian goals with 98. He has the most goals for a South American with 98. That's any South American, by the way. Any. That Pele, right? Ronaldo. The other Ronaldo. Neymar. There's some guys. The youngest Argentinian to score at a World Cup at 18. The first player to score at 4 different World Cups for Argentina. The most individual World Cup appearances with 26. The most Argentinian World Cup goals with 13. And the only player to score in a World Cup group stage, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. He's the only player in World Cup history to score in every single round of the knockout stages and the group stage. The only one ever.
He's assisted in 5 straight World Cups as well. Just to sprinkle a little more.
What are we
supposed not that say? It needed.
What are we supposed to say, dude? This guy's the best.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah, and he's had his whole career kind of like aligned with Ronaldo, right? And it was always like, who's the best? And there's been some years Ronaldo's better, and there's been some years Messi is better. But as a mass, as a whole, it's hard to deny.
Yeah,
it's just hard to deny.
And there's rumors that this is probably going to be his last World Cup, but he is saying that he's not retiring from the national team.
At least not yet. He already has retired from the national team, so I can't imagine he winds up in another World Cup. He might play another Copa America. I think that's what he winds up doing. Play another Copa America, and then he's probably done after that. But incredible stuff. How old is he? I think he's only 34 or 35. So he's not like actually old, but
yeah. So if he wanted to,
but like he's like he's 30. He's 35. So by the next World Cup, he'd be 39 years old. He ain't doing that. He ain't doing that. I'm gonna tell you right now.
It all depends if he just wants to like do the vet move and just come play.
Yeah, right. I doubt it though, but yeah, he'll be 39.
Also, we need to talk about how Argentina has been looking for the celebrations. The streets are flooded. Absolutely flooded. They look insane. I haven't seen any
today, and I need to go after this episode, go through and look at all the stuff today. But I know immediately after the game, it was.
Have you seen that drone shot that they did before the game?
No.
Okay, so they're all partying in the street, just getting hype. There's a drone that just is going through all of it, and it's insane. They got like a whole Maradona, like banner hanging. There's people on light poles waving the flags. It's insane. If you get a chance, go look at that. Because, oh my God. And what it is right now is just that. Buenos Aires is just ridiculous right now.
Are they just Philly? Is it just turned to Philly? Do they have to butter the poles?
You're not buttering nothing over there. So super happy for Messi. Because, man...
Yeah, awesome. I mean, he didn't need this to kind of cement himself, but now that he has it, he has cemented himself, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So, congratulations to Argentina and the GOAT. I am a little sad that France didn't win because I was going for them, but it was a great game, and I can't really be upset with the result when we got such a spectacle like that, right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of spectacles. They hit us with the 1-2 on consecutive days, right? We had the World Cup on Sunday, but on Saturday football at 1:00, technically prime time, we got what looked like one of the worst games of the year. The Indianapolis Colts go into Minnesota and had a 33-0 lead. 33-0. What happens next in the second half is the largest comeback in the history of the NFL. 33-0. The Minnesota Vikings come all the way back, force overtime, 36-36, and win the game in overtime, 39-36. This was the second best game of the year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Both of them involve the Vikings. There's nothing more stressful than being a Vikings fan in the year of 2022 because they just cannot win a game that is a blowout. And if they lose, they just get clapped and you're like sad for like 3 hours. So it's just a stressful time.
Me and Drew were watching the game. And at the time of watching it, they're 10-3. And the stat was they're 9-0 in one possession games. I'm like, huh. So it's been like this all year.
All year. It's been horrible. It's been, it's fun because they were winning games. And I've been saying this for a while, and I've said this on the air for a couple of times. However you might think of a team like the Vikings or teams who have done similar things in the past where they win a lot of close games. Winning close games at some point is a skill. If you win 2 of them, you can kind of get whatever. If you win 10 games by one or more, or one score, that is a skill at some point where you are able to come up with a big stop.
It's one of the most impressive things in the NFL.
Exactly. You're able to come up with a big stop or come up with a big drive to go in and win a game. And that's just incredibly difficult in this league. Just getting wins is really, really hard. The Vikings come back on Saturday. was again. I watched most of the second half with Brooklyn. We had somewhere to be after the game, so I went over to his place beforehand. I was at work before that though, right? And I was at work and I'm wearing my Stephon Diggs jersey. And I'm getting so much flack. Everybody's coming up to me, dude, what's going on? What happened? They're hitting me with the James. What happened? And I'm like, I don't need this right now. We're losing 30-0. Leave me alone. 30-0. Ruthless. And then I get in the car. I'm driving to Brooklyn's house. On the way, I see Kirk Cousins is in the red zone. Nice. 5 minutes later, Kirk Cousins is in the red zone. I'm like, oh. I get to Brooklyn's house. We score as I pull up. I'm like, oh. And all of a sudden, it's 36-21. And I'm like, hold on. Hold on. There's still 17 minutes left in this game. Hold on. And there was actually like more opportunity for the Vikings to have won in regulation, which is wild. The referees from this game should be launched out of a cannon into a pit of hot magma. They made really bad calls on both sides. There was a offsides at the end of the game in overtime that led to a Thielen 25-yard catch that put us in field goal range. They didn't call it. There were 2 scoop and scores by the Vikings that they didn't even call a fumble. It just wasn't a fumble, which resulted in a Colts score, by the way. This was a net -10 play for the Vikings. And then there was a scoop and score that they also just called a fumble because they called it dead. So that's 20 was quick math. Quick math. 17-point differential just given up because of the refs on those 2 calls, essentially. This game could have been very different. Maybe if that first scoop and score doesn't happen, they don't come back and win this game. Who's to say? But the fact that those get called dead and that they're not the results that they should have wound up being is an embarrassment. And there was another embarrassment on Sunday Night Football to end the game where the Commanders kind of get jobbed out of an opportunity to come in and tie and or win this game. And I don't know why refs have been this way. Also, I don't know if you saw in the Raiders game, there was a game tying catch. Or not tying.
I didn't see that one.
No, it did tie. So the Raiders go down the field. Keelan Cole makes a catch. Clearly stepped out of bounds. Before. And they didn't call it. They reviewed the touchdown. But they weren't reviewing if he stepped out. They were reviewing if he made the catch. And he made the catch. So they tied the game. And then it led to, in a smooth transition on my end. Mm-hmm. We went on Saturday from the biggest comeback in the history of the NFL to the single worst bonehead play likely in NFL history. There might be more way back when there was no film. But in modern NFL and modern football, this is no disrespect to Jacoby Myers. He was trying to make something happen, and I understand that. But this was the worst decision and result I have seen in a long time. The Patriots go, make a play. They try and start throwing the ball backwards as a tie game with the clock at 0. Jacoby Myers throws it backwards about 20 yards right into the hands of the defender for the Raiders, Chandler Jones, who then puts Mac Jones in a stiff arm chokehold into the ground, runs it back for a touchdown, and the Raiders win the game, essentially putting the Raiders into the playoff hunt, taking the Patriots one step down, because now if they end with a tied record, the Raiders are above the Patriots in the playoff standings because of this one play. The Raiders were 1-5 at some point. Now they're 6-7. They're feeling all types of good.
You see, you say no disrespect to him, but that you're just dog. You can't do that. It's a tie game. I don't care how bad you're trying to score at that point. You at least make sure that you're doing the right thing. Don't just launch it like that.
Yeah.
Don't just launch it like that.
Just launch it like that. There needs
because if the play goes dead, you live to fight another day.
There's overtime.
It's OT.
There's OT.
You can make something happen. But you trying to do the most. You trying to do too much.
Way too much.
You gave it away.
You literally sold. I will say there needs to be some blame on Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson started the tossing backwards. We haven't talked enough about that on the internet. If he never tosses it back, Jacoby never gets it. Ramondre should have just went out of bounds, called it a day. So
yeah,
you
because
set
once you
these,
start it,
you keep it
yeah,
going.
once you start it,
You
yeah.
keep it going. So Jacoby didn't start it, and there is a little something that needs to be said about that. But if you guys haven't seen this clip, just go on Twitter and type Patriots. It's the first video. It is.
Now I wanna know if this was drawn up by Bill.
No.
Or
Bill's not that creative.
Because I don't think so.
No, he's not that creative.
But that makes it even worse
That'd
if
really
they
funny
said,
It'd be really funny
"Oh, we got this.
Let's throw
We
some
got this,
backdoor
Bill.
BS, yeah.
Don't worry about this, Bill. We got this." And then
just
that
off,
happens.
Yeah, off the cuff, Bill's just like,
At least this is like a bad season for Bill, so it's not.
I mean, they're doing
like,
fine. They're
no, but
playing.
I'm saying like imagine prime Patriot Bill.
Yeah. Imagine this was like, imagine this was like game 15 of the undefeated regular season.
Oh my god, bro! They're all getting fired.
I mean, hey,
if
that happened, they probably win the Super Bowl. It's a weird psychology thing, right? So, fair enough.
If they lost the game, they win that Super Bowl.
Yeah. But Eli got extra superpowers because they were undefeated. That's just how that went. That's exactly how that went. So there was a lot of debauchery in the NFL this week. The Ravens were on their second and third string quarterback. They wind up giving Deshaun Watson his first win. That's gross. It was a horrible game on Saturday. The Bills game was a wild one. It was a snow flurry over there. They had to melt the snow on the field before it started, then it started to pile back up. They win it on a walk-off. We were out in Tampa with one of our boys. Shout out to Gerard. And shout out to the Bills for keeping pace with the Chiefs this week. They're still the 1 seed. And the Bills, I think, win the division if they win next week. So that's a dub. It looked like they weren't going to for a tiny second there, but no. Dolphins, if we were doing winners and losers, which we're not, the loser is absolutely the Dolphins. Do you remember there was a point where people were like, Tua's the MVP. They haven't lost with him this year. Blah, 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 blah. Now the Dolphins are on a 3-game losing streak. Granted, they played 3 good teams, right? They played the 49ers, the Chargers, and the Bills. Right. They played 3 quarterbacks. They played 3 of like the 7 quarterbacks better than Tua, and they lost. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
But they were 8-4. Quick go back. No, they were 8-3. They were 8-3. They lose 3 in a row, and now they just fall out of the division. And if they lose again next week to the Packers, it's Aaron Rodgers. Who knows what to expect with him? They were on a bye this week, so who knows? Was it bye? I don't know. I think they play today. I don't know what's going on with them. If they lose next week, they are in danger of not making the playoffs.
Cooked.
So that's rough. It's kind of an L for that division in general. There was a split second where we thought that the AFC East was the best division of football. That is quickly diminished. I don't think that at all anymore, especially with Zach Wilson playing quarterback out there. There's 2 quarterback debacles in that division. Bailey Zappi should be the starter for the Patriots, and Mike White needs to be the starter for the Jets. Obviously, Mike's hurt, so that's kind of what happened this week, but I digress. What else are you trying to talk about in the NFL this week? There was some more nonsense, but which one in particular?
Well, let's take it to the hometown. Tom and the boys.
Oof.
They're up 17-0. Looking decently good in terms of Buccaneer gameplay this year. So shout out. All the fans are happy. I'm at the game.
When's the last time they were up by 3 scores this year? I don't know if that's happened at all.
No, I couldn't tell you. So they have a chance to go up again. Mike Evans big play gets called back on like a block in the back. Mm-hmm. They end up only getting a field goal on that. I think that's the turn of this game. And then it just starts creeping. It's 17-3, 17-6, 17-12. And then they score again. They take the lead. And all of this just kept on sliding away from the Bucs, and there was just nothing that they were able to do to stop the bleeding. And the shift on that. The Bucks are now 6-8, just fighting their demons.
It's true.
I I don't know what's gonna happen with this team, but man, that is a bad loss. Because you're down the stretch, you have to hold that lead. Because you have a chance to take down a very good Bengals team.
They had a chance.
Make it happen.
And they went 5 consecutive possessions with essentially turning it over. A turnover on downs, an interception, 2 fumbles in a row, an interception. And this game just got out of hand. It just got out of hand. Like, the second that the Bengals scored after one of the fumbles, and this game was 24-17. I remember I was at a Christmas party yesterday, and I looked around. I'm like, wow, they're done. It's over. It's done. Like, you woke up the Bengals, you shut them down for the first half, and you let a really good offense like get shut down. Joe Burrow didn't play particularly well yesterday, and for him to play
he had
poorly,
4 tutties.
Yeah, but he didn't like play out of his mind.
I'm saying he didn't play great, and he had 4 tutties.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and again, a lot of those were like having the ball in good field position in the second half, right? Like,
yeah.
Just get a nice field position, you make it work. I mean, between him, he only threw for 200 yards. Their best rusher yesterday was Samaje Perine with 24. Mixon had 21. So they had 50 yards on the ground. They had under 200 yards throwing as a team because there was a throw that got negative yardage at some point on some nonsense. They didn't even have over 300 yards in this game. And they smoked the Bucks. And, like, listen, if you go into the playoffs, you still don't want to face Tom Brady. I think that's, like, a highly understood notion, right?
Yeah.
That's highly understood. We get it. Blah, 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 blah. With that being said, the Bucks are likely at this current moment, and probably with the way the season's looking, are going to play the Dallas Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs. And I do not like that at all for the Bucks. That is not great. Not great.
No.
And the Cowboys have their issues too, but the Bucks aren't going to score more than 15 points against them. So how are you going to win this game? It's a lot to look forward to. I mean, the Bucks have to make the playoffs, right? I mean, for some reason, the Panthers are in the mix. The Panthers, actually, not just the Panthers, the entire division in the NFC South are all within one game of the Bucks. They just refuse to take advantage of how poorly this division is playing this year. 6-8 Buccaneers are one game ahead of the 5-9 intentionally tanking Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, and Atlanta Falcons. Disgusting. Disgusting. Tom unretired and got divorced for this. Not actually. That's disrespectful to say, but it's a funny narrative.
No, that's a narrative.
It's a funny narrative.
He ruined his family to be 6-8.
It's completely slanderous. I want that to be known, but it's kind of funny.
Man.
You have anything else to talk about? One thing I do want to say, we already have a bunch of teams clinching the playoffs. Shout out to what does the X mean? I don't even know what the X means. That's crazy. But
we got the Eagles, the Vikings, the Niners, the
all
Cowboys,
won their divisions.
Bills and Chiefs all have a playoff spot clinched.
Okay. The Chiefs, Eagles, Vikings, Niners all already. Well, they all have a playoff spot. The Vikings, Niners, and Chiefs all won their divisions already, which is kind of funny. The 2 1 seeds in both conferences haven't won their division yet, but the other teams have. So that's pretty funny. I believe the Bills can clinch it next week. The Eagles are not going to be able to clinch it probably until the last week of the season because I know they play Dallas twice, which is gross.
Tough.
Yeah, that's
gross. Tough.
I don't know who made that schedule, but oh no, they don't. They only play Dallas once. They play Dallas, the Saints, and the Giants. When did they play Dallas before? Week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, fair enough. Okay. So they play Dallas next week. That's a good game. That's a fun one on Christmas Eve. We got more Saturday football. And then they end their year with the Giants. So if they lose next week, it'll be spicy. But I don't fully believe that
the playoffs are going to be wild because we got a lot of teams, a lot of different teams in the hunt and on the bubble that could very much just sneak their way in if like everything falls into place.
Yeah, like let's just look at it, right? The technically there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams still in the hunt in the AFC. And that's the 6 and 8 Steelers, Browns, Raiders, Jaguars, and then the 7 and 7 Patriots and Jets. They're all still in the hunt. None of those teams are in. You have the Chargers and Dolphins as the lower wild cards. The Ravens are probably good. They're probably safe. Weirder things have happened, but they're probably safe. And then in the NFC, you have who's in the wild card race, really? It's not as many teams. It's really just the Seahawks, the Lions, the Commanders, Giants, and then maybe the Packers. Again, I think they play tonight, so if they win, they're in that mix. If they don't, then GG's.
But like just off of the NFC South, like you have 4 teams that any of them can make the playoffs.
Yeah, like they're not in the wild card, but they might make the playoffs.
So it's like, oh,
yeah.
What do we do?
I did see a ridiculous tweet. I follow a Rams writer because he's a really good guy, and he was like, "Oh, so you're saying all we have to do is win out the rest of our 4 games, and then hope that the Lions lose out and the Seahawks lose out, and then the loser of the Giants Commanders game last night also lose out? Easy."
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. They better win tonight if they want that chance to be real, because they're the ones playing. It's the Packers and the Rams. Deductive reasoning is amazing. I'm a detective. I'm a detective. Oh, man. So football is coming to a close, but it's exciting. And again, having some Christmas football games is pretty interesting. Kind of weird, but
I'm here for it.
I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah.
Something to do. I prefer Christmas basketball, which we will really get into probably after Christmas because the NBA season's great. But realistically, I don't take any stock into the NBA until after Christmas. That's kind of how I've always operated because there's always a random team, the Wizards, the Jazz, that are doing well. And it's like, oh, just wait till after Christmas.
I do want to see which Christmas games we have. That'll be our NBA talk for the day.
Yeah, let's go.
We got Sixers and Knicks to start the day off.
Shout out.
Not bad. Lakers Mavericks. Okay.
Not great. Not great.
We got Luka and LeBron. I'm here for it.
True. Very true.
Bucks Celtics.
Amazing.
Okay. Grizzlies Warriors. That's been brewing. They tried to make that happen last year.
They actually willed their way to make that a game on Christmas. So shout out to Memphis for making themselves relevant on Christmas for once.
And then Suns Nuggets, D Book and Joker coming off too. Just insane game.
Did you see them this weekend? What did Jokic last night? It was like, I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna double check, but it was kind of ridiculous.
I know he had 27 rebounds. That I can tell you.
45,
that is just.
I think it was like 45, 27. It was 40, 27 on a triple double. Jesus. 40 points, 27 boards, 10 assists, 2 steals, 7 offensive boards on 50% shooting.
Again,
is he gonna win MVP again?
If Joker keeps on doing this for the rest of his career, and at this point, why would he not? He's not showing us any reason that he's not for the next 4 or 5 years. If he keeps on doing this, he has to be. He has to be in a top 10 somewhere.
He gets dangerously close to a top 5 bid, and I don't like that.
Especially if he's able to potentially get a ring or 2 within his career.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God, bro.
Because a guy like him, especially because I envision he'll stay with the Nuggets at least the majority of his career.
Yeah.
He's gonna wind up one of those guys where they just like a Dirk, right? You win one and you just elevate. You just need one. We're not calling him LeBron or MJ. We're not trying to compare him to those guys. But we are comparing him at some point to those guys in 6 through 10, right?
Yeah.
And if you're looking at it, you're like, man, like I can't think of who 6 through 10 would be right now. It's not important. But like you would look at the numbers and you look at the triple doubles and his numbers as a center and the MVPs, the assist totals. You're like, man.
And the first people are gonna.
He's one of the best to ever do it, isn't he?
And the first argument's gonna be, oh well, the game's different now. I don't care. He's doing it.
Right. He changed it.
It's not their fault because they're in a different era and the rules change. It's not their fault. They are at the top of whatever their respective league is at the time. Yeah. I don't care. And he is one of the best in the league right now.
He's crazy, man. He's
so
really good.
I don't want to hear it.
Also, Giannis is still doing Giannis things. Also, shout out to Jason Tatum. He's beating the I think he sucks allegations. So nice. Am I the only person in the world who really believed that coming into the season? Probably. But like,
shout out Deuce's dad.
I enjoy being a hater, and that is one of them that I enjoy hating on.
I don't hate much, but if you're on a Boston team, I hate you.
Yeah. So it's simple. That's why I hated that's why I really disliked the was it 2017 or 18? I think it was 18 Boston Red Sox, because I'm like, man, Mookie Betts is sick. Yeah. Like I liked so many of those guys. I'm like, I hate this. I hate that I like these guys.
And it's so funny you bring that up, because now I like Xander Bogaerts, because it just so happens that
awesome.
MLB free agency is going nuts, and Xander Bogaerts is now a San Diego Padre.
Let's go, baby. And I think
How about that?
I think I spoke about that last week.
They got 17 infielders.
Yes, sir. They have so many. Oh my God. That potential infield is absolutely unreal. They have 4 all-stars in the infield with Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis. I'm sliding up to second base for like ease sake, right? And then Jake Cronenworth at first base. That's hot. That's hot. Now, Fernando's likely going to wind up being in the outfield, and they'll get a first baseman, and Cronenworth will play second, and it works out that way. But that team is going to be very dangerous and way more fun with Juan Soto, Fernando, Xander, and Manny. Oh, my God. That's actually 5 superstars. Actually 5 superstars.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, they have Yu Darvish, too. It's like, that's sick. I'm a fan. I do wish their pitching was a little better, but it was kind of hard to add pitching this year. But there was one big free agent. But there was one big free agent that was remaining, at least.
Who was that?
I think he went to some small market team for a 6-year, $162 million deal. Carlos Rodon is a Yankee, okay? Carlos Rodon is a Yankee.
We've been asking for the last like 2-3 years. I've been pleading, writing Hal letters.
I love Carlos Rodon.
Sending him messenger pigeons. And Cashman, while he was climbing the scales of a building one year, he finally found our message and he sent it to Hal. He was like, "These 2 guys need Rodon. Go get it done." And he did it. Hal, I love you.
I love you. I love you so much.
And on top of that, we get Judge back too.
It's a great time. You want to hear something? Days. You want to hear a very interesting thing about Carlos Rodon?
Absolutely.
Justin Verlander won American League Cy Young last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a pretty good thing. He was fantastic last season, right? Carlos Rodon had 0.3 less WAR than Justin Verlander, and he faced the Dodgers 19 times. Well, he did, but the team did. I don't know how many times he pitched against the Dodgers. Probably 5 would make sense.
I'm going to say 3.
That's a low number. I'll say 5. I'll stick with 5.
I'm going to go 3.
He is now joining the Yankees. But last season, I want to double check this just to make sure my numbers are right. But he had, let's double check. Oh, of course, ESPN doesn't want to show me. He had like 229 strikeouts last season. So you add him to Garrett Cole, and you were sitting on 450 strikeouts between two starters. Two starters.
Sheesh.
Oh, and then by the way, then your third guy is Nestor Cortez, who was, I think, 5th in Cy Young voting last year.
Yeah.
And then you have Luis Severino, who was fantastic at the end of the year, and Frankie Montas. The Yankees, at this current moment, when healthy, have the best starting 5 in the entire league. And that's mostly because the Astros lost Verlander, right? They lost Verlander. The Mets lost Bassett and Walker and DeGrom. And then to replace with Verlander, they got Senga. We don't know what Senga is going to be yet, so we're going to wait to push that out there. I do think the Mets have a really good one. The Braves are an interesting one. They're somewhere in the mix. I think the Brewers are in that mix also. The Dodgers are actually not, which is kind of surprising, but their pitching is kind of, with Walker Buehler out for the year, and who knows.
Speaking of Dodgers, before you go, I did fact check 3 times against the Dodgers.
3 times. Dude, you're just better.
I'm better.
You're just better. That's wild. You're just better. But you're right. Also with the Dodgers, they get JD Martinez.
Yeah.
What does that do? I don't know. He's better than Joey Gallo. He's better than Cody Bellinger. So like, shout out. They upgraded. They upgraded, I guess.
Yeah.
1 year, $10
nice
million.
Nice guy to have.
Yeah. Another weird head scratcher by the Red Sox that they don't give $10 million to JD, but then they give 2 year. I think it was 29. I'm not seeing a number. I think it was 2 year. It was 2 year, like 30 mil or something of that nature.
It was 2 year 21.
21. 2 year 21. So similar money.
21.7. So about 22.
Similar money to Justin Turner, who is also going to wind up being a DH for them. He's also a right-handed hitter who has less power and like similar bat skills, but like he doesn't play the outfield, and they really need outfielders, and he plays third base, and their best player plays third base. So Justin's probably going to play first, but you want power at first. I don't really get this move, but like pop off. Pop off. They have to do something, right? Yeah, kind of
whatever.
Gross. Yeah, whatever. Not a great one. The White Sox had a good deal. Andrew Benintendi, 5 years, $75 million. I thought it was a pretty solid deal. I thought the years were a lot. 5 years for Benintendi feels like you're handcuffing yourself for a guy who doesn't hit for a lot of power in a stadium that doesn't hit for a lot of power. So not the best. Hopefully, if he's hitting over 300, that works out. I wish him the best. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, I like Chicken Tendy. I really wanted the Yankees to bring him back.
5 years.
Money and years were way too much.
Yeah.
If you wanted 5 for like
60.
50,
he's a better player than that, though. He's a much better player than that. Another guy who I think was overpaid, though, Dansby Swanson to the Cubs. Can you explain to me what the Cubs are doing? Why are the Cubs out here getting Marcus Stroman last year, and then they're not re-signing Wilson Contreras on like a not even that bad of a deal, but then they're going out and getting a shortstop.
Yeah,
7 years on Dansby when he's not even like, maybe he's the 10th best shortstop in the league, maybe. Yeah, and
so
he had a great year last year. There's no chance he reproduces the home run total that he did last year.
No, so Dansby, Jameson Tyone, and Bellinger. All on the Cubs now, so
nice.
And Brad Boxberger. One is not like the others. But...
Hey, Brad's a good reliever. Brad's a good reliever. Hey, the Cubs see that their division isn't that great, and that the teams in their division don't know how to build teams.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, and still always find a way to suck. Like actually, like. Oh, let's win this division. Cool. They had like a great win streak this year. They had 17 games or something like that. Did they get their arch blown out by, I don't even remember who they played in the playoffs. It wasn't the Padres. It was the Phillies. Got lit up by the Phillies. Which granted they went to the World Series, but come on. Come on, guys. Oh, and then they trade for Jose Quintana and don't re-sign him. What are you doing? I don't get St. Louis. They're a weird team, man. They could have got Juan Soto, and they didn't want to get rid of Dylan Carlson.
Yikes.
Gross.
So I'm just over here looking at the free agents out there, and just to list off a couple. You got David Price out there, Brendan Belt, Evaldi Longoria, Chapman, Nelson Cruz, Kimbrel.
So Evaldi's probably the best name I've heard so far. He's still a good pitcher.
Gene Segura, Zach Britton, Greinke, Corey Knebel, Sano, Adam Duvall, Gary Sanchez, Kluber, McCutcheon. So there's still a decent amount of
Corey
names.
Knebel's a dog. If he's healthy,
we got Andrew Chafin, Brad Hand, Luke Voigt.
Chafin's a free agent. Get me him on the Yankees right now. I've been begging for him for like a year. I want him. That's the other guy I've been begging for. Him or Gregory Soto. Make it happen.
Go ahead. Filter this by team. Hit up top and just scroll down. You'll see a lot of names. Seeing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. So we're not gonna go through all this, but we do have quite a bit of free agents left. So that's kind of sick. I mean, those are the guys that wind up filling out rosters, right? Like a Nate Evaldi is actually a really big signing for somebody at some point. That's a great number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere.
Absolutely. You add those guys to a team and you got something cooking.
Yeah, you really stretch out like depth. So that could be a really good pickup somewhere. We'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on with those free agents as they happen. But pretty much all the big names are off the table now. So shout out. Oh, Correa, 3 years with the Giants. I don't think we talked about that. Barlos Correa.
Not 3 years. 13 years.
13 years.
13 years.
Carlos Correa is going to be a Giant when I am 38 years old. Unreal. 13 years, $350 million for the 2-time All-Star. I read that exact message. I read that message when the deal came out, and I was like, sheesh. Carlos is better than a 2-time All-Star, but they said that, and I was like, sheesh. Oof. Also, 13 years for a guy with injury history. Crazy.
13 years. I hate MLB deals, though, because, like, I don't want to see this player on a team for 13 years. I don't want that.
Really? I kind of like it. I'm a fan.
I rather you just end up on a team for 13 years. I don't want you locked in for 13 years. Yeah. Like basketball is cool because you get the 4-year deals. They might stay, they might leave.
Yeah.
Who knows? So it's like, okay, cool. Like you never know what's going to happen come free agency. That's why the NBA is so wild.
Dude, the teams wind up switching so much.
Like, could you imagine if like the MLB, every so often you just had a super big free agent on the market because of that?
Yeah. And I mean, it feels like we always do because the young guys wind up being superstars and all that. But.
Yeah. But when you're locked in for 10, 12 years, it's like
it's a long time. It's a long time.
And not even for the free agency side, it also cripples teams because now if that guy sucks after 7 years and his contract's just
hear me out though. We've seen 3 13-year contracts before this or in that realm, right? Mm-hmm. Manny Machado, 6 years in. Has it worked out?
Yeah.
Bryce Harper, 5 years in. Has it worked out?
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis is the one outlier yet. We don't know. He signed it last year. The injuries, the suspension, TBD. 2 for 3 is not bad.
No, it's
2
not.
2 for 3 is not bad. Mike Trout, he worked out. It was a longer deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's not many guys that get it.
I know. But there's a lot of guys that want it.
Dansby Swanson got 7, so.
There's no reason Xander Bogaerts needs 11 years. I'm going to just put that out there. There's no reason. And I don't mean to hate on you, Xander. Like, go get your money, go get your years. I love it. I'm a fan of you now. I like you. 11. You don't need 11 years.
His kid's going to be going into middle school.
So that's just my only issue with it. Like,
yeah, no, I hear you. I do hear you. It is a long time, and it's kind of nice. It's cool to see like the re-ups because like situations change in 11 years. Like maybe there's a new owner and you want to leave. Like,
yeah. So I don't think,
but they're locking in their money, and I respect that.
Absolutely, go get your money. Go get your bag.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that.
And it's not going to change anytime soon. We're just going to get bigger contracts and 20-year contracts. So,
please God,
pop your shit.
Please God, no. But
imagine a rookie Tatis got a 20-year deal for like $700 million.
He's 41. He's played like 6 months of a season.
Like just rookie deal, insane. Like you are our guy.
It's kind of what the Braves do. And I mean, the Braves, every time they get a rookie who's good, they're like, hey, 7 years? And they're like,
I hate it on the fact of the young players because they're getting robbed. But on a business aspect, Braves are doing amazing.
Well, they're not getting robbed. So they're getting life-changing money really early without having to show much. Like, you know how hard
I only say they're getting robbed because these are really good, talented guys who, when it comes time, they're going to get a lot of money, but they're not going to get that money now because they're already locked in for a lower price. Yeah. That's the only reason why I say robbed. But again, I
agree.
I'm taking the money.
No, but like it's so much better too, because look at the NFL, who does the complete opposite, right? Lamar Jackson is a top 5 quarterback, has been a top 5 quarterback for about 5 or 6 years. Right? Since he's been in the league and a starter consistently, he has been a top 5 quarterback. I don't really care what you have to say, yell at the wall, piss on a wall. I don't care.
Forget about stats. Yeah, forget about stats. He has changed the culture.
With stats.
No, but I'm saying, even if you want to make the argument, against that, cool, whatever. You're wrong, but cool. He has changed the culture in Baltimore. And that's enough to be a franchise quarterback itself.
And they're not going to pay him. They franchise tag. Like, we're going to sit here and franchise tag and diddy daddle. And, maybe not. I don't know. And then you have a guy like Russell Wilson, who you've never seen play a snap in your new team. And they extend them for, 7 years?
Ridiculous.
But, like, you won't give Lamar? It's like, Baltimore, you don't deserve this guy.
I talked about it last night.
He would look better in a different purple, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we need this.
Y'all saw that? But I was talking about it last night with Tarek. He's a Raven fan. I was like, what's happening with Lamar? And he said, I don't know, but they're probably going to franchise tag him. And he's right. They probably will.
I would sit out.
Exactly. That is the most disrespectful thing you could possibly do to your franchise quarterback. If you do that, I
don't want to play for you anymore.
No, like
franchise tag, you can't commit to me.
The relationship is done after that. He's either gonna play and leave or not play at all, get the money and still leave.
Dude, imagine you're dating a girl.
Ridiculous.
Imagine you're dating a girl, and then she comes up to you and she's like, "Hey, we've been seeing each other for 2 years now. Like, can we be official?" And you're like, we can kind of be official, but we can like talk more about it later, but we can say we are, but like not really yet. Like, don't change your Facebook status yet.
Yeah.
And I won't even think about buying a ring, but like you can like tell your friends. Like, I won't tell mine though. Like, what? Like, if I were a girl or a guy, that's happened both ways. Like, if a girl said that to me, I'd be like, on God? For real? 2 years? Or 3 years? Or 5 years like Lamar? So I didn't mean to switch the sport too much, but like it's the opposite in the NFL. It's crazy. The Commanders did that to Kirk Cousins for the longest time. They franchise tagged him twice. Twice. Why franchise is that allowed? Franchise tagging is like, it's terrible. It's the worst thing in sports. It's the worst contract negotiation thing in sports. They're forcing you to stay past another year of your contract.
It's forcing. I got dibs on this guy. Huh?
Dibs? We're counting dibs now?
Dibs? We're putting money down on dibs.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Like what, bro?
I don't
At least like our arbitration like is kind of,
it's still part of the years. It's still part of the year. It's just adjusting. Arbitration is actually great. It adjusts your contract up.
Yeah,
even though you're still a rookie.
For what you're worth.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like it's never the money it should be, sadly, but like it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but we're gonna head out of here because we're running up the time, so we're gonna get out of here. Everybody, I hope you have a great Christmas. Make sure you follow us at the Spectators Media, and we got more great sports coming for you next week. I'll see you guys later.
Peace. Merry Christmas. Ho ho ho.